commencer par ça, voir un peu ce que ça donne. Oh, quête secondaire là. Mon dieu. Il y en a beaucoup trop. Hein. Beaucoup trop. Je te récupère mais je vais pas te faire maintenant. Hop. Ok. Bon, je lis pas tout. J'en ai eu assez avec la discussion d'avant. Ok. Ensuite. Toi. Dis-moi tout.
Hello, Mr. Crossell. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some smaragdus jadeite to make hairpins. Have there been any further developments on this front?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, in the end, I did acquire a small piece of smaragdus jadeite and had it fashioned into a pair of hairpins. Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize. I've already rented them out to a lady named Xiao. If you'd like to inspect them, you may have to wait quite some time.
Wait, isn't smaragdus jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting damaged or lost while they're being rented out?
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Miss Xiao before renting them to her. The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, she must compensate me for its full original value. In return, I included a clause that guarantees the smaragdus jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by me to Miss Xiao in the event that it is shown to be a fake.
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false. Yes, these terms are very clear indeed.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need. To ensure fairness, each of us has retained an original copy of the contract.
In that case, might you know where Miss Xiao lives? We'd like to pay her a visit and have a look at the hairpins.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract. Here, I'll mark it on your map for you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossell. We'll be off now.
Ok. Eh bah dis donc. Ça papote, ça papote. Bon. Next. Alors, où est-ce que t'es? Là-dedans. Beaucoup de choses à faire. Beaucoup de quêtes. Mince, pardon. Ah bah non, c'était pas là-dedans. C'était au-dessus. Ouais, c'était au-dessus. J'avais pas vu la petite flèche. Oh, oh, petit chemin qui scintille pour nous indiquer le droit chemin. Que c'est beau. Ok. Oh. Ok, tout va bien.
Oh, whatever shall I do?
Ouais.
Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?
How do you do, Mr. Chow? We understand from Mr. Crossell that you recently rented a pair of hairpins from him. My associates and I are very interested in them. Would you mind letting us take a look at them?
The hairpins? I can't lend them to you right now. I've lost them. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side, and I hadn't even worn them yet. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value... My family is in the ore business too, but business has been suffering ever since the chasm was sealed off. We now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around, so we've been having to purchase some stock from other ore merchants to complete them. A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to mingle and discuss prices. That's what the hairpins were for, well, to keep up appearances. I can't have them looking down on me. But now that I've lost the hairpins, what will I do?
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of deja vu?
application to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Mr. Chow, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you signed?
Huh? Well, I mean, sure, I have it right here. Here you are.
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Juqiao somehow. True. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossel the original value of the hairpins as compensation for the loss. Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take current market prices into account. And given the rarity of Smaragdus Jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation may end up being significantly higher as a result.
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Juqiao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid into the hairpins.
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we be able to find out if the Jadeite is genuine or not? Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding those hairpins.
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the Jadeite is genuine, would there?
Seems right.
Please. Please, however much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants after all. It's vital that we keep our word and respect our contracts. Now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossel in the dark any longer. I'll go and inform him of the issue and then negotiate the amount of compensation.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hairpins. So hold on a moment, Mr. Chow. When you first touched the hairpins, what did you feel?
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstones set into the pins were perfectly smooth to the touch, like the finest quality jade. My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so I am quite certain of my judgment in this matter.
Smooth to the touch. Finest quality jade. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things. Let's head over to Mr. Crossel's.
Ouf. Eh bah dis donc. Oh là 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 là. Oh j'en peux plus. Oh, les dialogues toi. J'ai pas tout suivi, mais bon. Continuons.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Juqiao in tow, too, I see. How are the hairpins? I trust you're quite satisfied with them?
About that.
You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive they were?
I'm sorry. Truly I am. I'll pay the compensation as per our contract. Every last mora.
Mora? Do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hands on that Smaragdus Jadeite? I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can just have her estimate the amount that needs to be paid.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes, and if I may just confirm again, it was in fact genuine Smaragdus Jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course. Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the value.
Alright, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation. Please wait here, Mr. Crossel.
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay every last mora that they're worth.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with you. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Ok. Bon, du coup, elle a perdu son peigne à cheveux. Aucun respect. Et elle va prendre cher sur 6 générations, elle, hein. Ce que j'ai pu comprendre. Hop, on va se taper là-bas. C'est là. C'est là, c'est là, c'est là. C'est même au-dessus. Nickel.
Miss Yunfei, what is this about? Are you here to tell me how much I owe?
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the ore inlaid on those hairpins may not be Smaragdus jadeite after all.
What do you mean? Are you implying that you already sneaked off and found them?
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless, time-consuming errands for a living. Let's just say I made some deductions. I don't know if Granny told you this, but Smaragdus jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental energy. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. It most certainly would not be smooth to the touch. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins were in your possession?
No, not at all. I felt perfectly fine the whole time. Not even the slightest bit unwell. I didn't feel anything special at all, in fact.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were elemental traces in Mr. Crossel's vicinity. If I have deduced correctly, he may still have the Smaragdus jadeite in his possession.
If that's the case, we should go confront him right now and expose his dirty scam right to his face!
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, he would find some argument to compel us to leave. And then, he'd throw the Smaragdus jadeite into the sea the moment we were gone. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. He would lose nothing. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually still exist somewhere in this world.
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experience talking.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately, I have far more elegant solutions at my disposal. I'll share them with you in due course.
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like this, perhaps you could help me, Miss Yunfei.
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, can I ask you to please sign this contract?
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? Paimon can't even keep track. It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than a certain someone else we know.
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written contract. Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to place this matter into your capable hands if you will take it, Miss Yunfei.
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and then sign on this page as well. And I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page. Finally, if you could just use this ink pad to make a handprint over here.
This contract has so many pages.
Alright, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look through and let me know if you have any questions.
I've had a read through. Everything checks out.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, it will actually be quite straightforward to resolve, once we've got some things squared away. I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before, in which case, hopefully this should be quite the experience.
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask, why are you helping me?
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Smaragdus jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of geoenergy around Mr. Crossel, so perhaps he has, in fact, secured some. Whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter, but either way, it's a lead. As long as we follow it, who knows? We might just be able to get our hands on some smaragdus jadeite. Also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage, I won't stand for it. But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... where can we find someone who processes ore? Ha! I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. He's a professional when it comes to working with stone and ore. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first choice.
Ok. Oh, il y a un petit livre ici que je récupère avec plaisir. Ah, ça c'est de l'eau. Et on doit aller voir le monsieur là-bas.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Oh, it's you, Miss Yenfei. Is something the matter?
My bad.
Surely not more spurious claims that my jade betting is rigged and no one can ever win? Oh, I swear on all that is sacred.
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnine merchant named Crossell enlisted your ore processing services recently by any chance?
A Snezhnine merchant named Crossell, you say? I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore, claiming that it was smaragdus jadeite. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really smaragdus jadeite or not. But if a customer insists, far be it from me to contradict them. He was quite generous with his money, too, so I didn't give it too much thought. I processed the ore as per his request.
Do you have any leftover debris from your work on it?
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so I kept a few loose shavings to study myself later. They're right over there, in fact.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
Très bien. Observer.
Huh? If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning suggest that these are yes. I've heard it said that smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of smaragdus jadeite, though no one's ever proven it.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy. Smaragdus nephrite is an entirely ordinary ore, containing no elemental energy whatsoever.
Is that so? Well, we might as well give elemental side a shot. So, did you find anything?
Aucune
So
trace.
they really are different. But wait, how come Jichao was able to tell what it was just by looking at the shards? That's pretty awesome.
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of these in my time. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to tell them apart. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates to an astronomical difference in terms of the market price. And, I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into shape.
Alright, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But, never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr. Crossell...
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these shavings back to Chateau.
Fragment le néphrite smaragdus, ce truc bidule chouette.
Miss Yenfei? Might I be so bold as to inquire,
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossell did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store was in fact smaragdus jadeite, did he not?
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact. Here. It says quite clearly, 1 chunk smaragdus jadeite, uncut.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and these stone shavings?
Of course. But might I ask why you need them?
Oh, I have my reasons. Ah, yes. Please sign here on this affidavit. This document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the, ore that Mr. Crossell brought to your store. Please read it carefully.
Yes, I see. I see. Forgive me for asking again, Miss Yanfei, but might I know the nature of the incident on this occasion?
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir. I'll take these with me.
With this hard evidence to back us up, Crossell won't dare try to deny what he did.
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. We need to find something a little more compelling. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry... nope. Aha! Got it! Sinxie. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith. Let's go pay her a visit.
Well, that was quick. How can you know so many people?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts. And contracts, well, I should say laws, are very important to us. But the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. How can I put this? It just seems like they're hard to understand and impossible to finish. As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service indeed.
So you help them make sense of the law. But didn't you say that it's hard to understand and impossible to finish?
Yes, well, that's no obstacle because I've memorized all the legal codices.
You memorized them?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread and butter, you know? Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Sinxie.
Faut que ça arrête de parler, je veux de l'action. Et je pense que la quête va être entièrement comme ça. Ok. Sac à dos. Sac à dos. Oh, théière, pas d'objet. Oui, effectivement, on va les débloquer bientôt. Enfin, bientôt. S'ils arrêtent de parler. Très bien. Et là, du coup, il faut aller là-bas. Derrière. Par là. Ok, ok, ok. Tout ça pour une théière. C'est... On est sur la bonne quête, hein, quand même. La théière de rêves, ouais, c'est ça. Et pas, dis donc. La quête qui ne fait que parler. C'est en haut. Je pense. Ah bah non. C'était en bas. Hop. Ah oui d'accord. Ici. Ah d'accord, non c'était juste le... Je crois que ça allait parler mais non. C'était le...
Oh, Miss
Pardon.
Yanfei, it's you. Has something happened? Did the client from last time...
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. I'm just here to ask you a few questions. Has a merchant by the name of Crossell asked you to put him in contact with a jewelsmith recently?
Crossell? Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnaya, no? Yeah, he came to me with a chunk of something he called Smaragdus Jadeite. The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, I found an older jewelsmith who made them exactly according to his specifications. This order was on hold for a very long time, and only completed quite recently, which is why I remember it so well.
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found here.
Miss Sinxie, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossell commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not assert that the material he presented to you that day was called Smaragdus Jadeite?
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record with the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Mr. Crossell wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed it on his behalf. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself, the item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document even has the official seal of the ministry on it.
Thank you, Singxi. Now, could you let me borrow this document?
Sure. It isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take it then that there's been some more trouble?
Nothing you need to worry about. Just a minor issue. I'll return your document as soon as I'm done with it. Thanks again.
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need.
the weirdo with the snake around his neck? What do you want to speak to him for?
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is harmful to the human body. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we can wrap this case up.
Ok. On va aller voir un tout petit peu. Bon, full parlotte, hein, ça ne fait que ça pour cette quête. Mais c'est pas grave. Au moins après on pourra débloquer les nouvelles fonctionnalités qui sont en lien avec cette quête. Alors, toujours plus loin, toujours plus haut. Allez, grimpe. Allez, tu peux le faire. Vas-y. Hop. Bonsoir.
Please, my, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Chi-Chi, she's out gathering herbs. And if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well, now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I inquire? Some charlatans peddling ineffectual medicines again, no doubt?
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary on the 7 Mountain Treatises. The 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains, and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case scenario, they'll suffer great changes in personality, and their illness will only ever get worse. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific nature of your question, I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiarities of Smaragdus Jadeite?
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus Jadeite recently. A Snezhnayan merchant came to ask me about it not long ago. But after I gave him my reply, his expression shifted to one of remarkable disappointment. I wonder, Miss Yenfei, if your pressing business might be related to the Snezhnayan merchant?
Ah, you needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us that document. I'll make sure to compensate you in due course.
You're too kind. Take care now.
That Baiju guy is weird as ever. Is it just time on...
Hop là. On va se téléporter là-bas. Ok.
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossell.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess the compensation due.
Chut, je vais le mettre le mode.
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded. I can now provide a final figure for the amount payable.
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you do the honors, Miss Yanfei?
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossell, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of mistake, Miss Yanfei.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus Jadeite twin phoenix pins that you rented out to Mr. Chow was, in fact, Smaragdus Nephrite. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand to see your evidence.
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus jadeite and Smaragdus nephrite. How does this prove anything? In any case, Smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store. What am I missing exactly?
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we are here to talk about evidence, aren't we?
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all. Seems like he came prepared. What should we do next?
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show him, Traveler.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlaid on the pins is indeed Smaragdus jadeite.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And this guy's getting more belligerent by the second.
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hairpins are the real deal after all.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown supports my story.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors?
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady, while in serious cases, the patient may suffer a dramatic change of personality and fall seriously ill. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient, considering that, as you say, you were ignorant of the danger you posed. Don't worry, Mr. Crossell. I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will be handed over to the Ministry. I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if you knew of Smaragdus jadeite's dangerous properties beforehand, why would you...
Huh? No, The hairpins aren't actually
inlaid with genuine Smaragdus jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
Yep, he's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was Smaragdus nephrite. But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus jadeite, in the hopes of turning it into a piece of jewelry that would fetch a fine price. But after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I couldn't sleep a wink or eat a single bite. I was in a constant state of agitation too. I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as jewelry. But how could I let all that money go to waste? That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from Smaragdus jadeite. I kept the real Smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I daren't touch it again. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Zhiqiao lost the hairpins after I rented them out to her.
Exactly! If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then my days in this line of business would be over.
Alright, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to the contract, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original price in Mora, and that is final.
10 times?
Croso looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus jadeite.
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me that much, Mora. Even if the Smaragdus jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing them. Legally or not, I think I owe some compensation for that.
Ms. Zhiqiao, you...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead? I'll consider us even.
What? But all right then. This cursed rock's brought me enough grief as it is.
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn the Smaragdus jadeite over to you. I trust that it will suffice as remuneration?
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go. But whatever, it'll do.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit and express my thanks more appropriately.
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again, Mr. Chow, have you and Mr. Crossell come to an understanding?
Well, yes, I believe we have.
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against you.
Is that so? That's good. That's good.
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and we have a fair stock of fine ores. If we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could do some fine business between us.
Let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. But this time, you managed to solve the problem with just a big stack of documents. Even though the solution didn't involve actually finding the hairpins.
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, proving that the rented item was nowhere near worth what the vendor had claimed it to be was the more efficient solution. An Adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? In which case, you would have heard what Granny said. Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal advisor. In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultancy far more than it needs adeptal powers?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet she's been on tenterhooks for a while now.
Eh bien dis donc, tout cela enfin réglé. Ah, et on a la jadite. C'est ce méga machin truc, ouais. Alors. Ressources. Ah, peut-être objet de quête plutôt, ouais. D'accord. Effectivement, qu'est-ce que Ping veut en faire? T'es sûr que son nom de famille c'est peut-être Pong d'ailleurs. Peut-être qu'elle s'appelle peut-être Ping Pong. Oh c'est marrant. Sans la poire. Allez hop. Et puis c'est pas mal franchement. Je pense qu'on va être proche de la fin de cette quête qui ne fait que parler. Jusqu'au bout. Et ce n'est pas fini. J'ai hâte de pouvoir débloquer l'île avec la création de la maison, d'intérieur et tout. J'ai hâte de voir un peu les fonctionnalités que ça propose. Ping. Dis-moi tout.
Ah, you've returned. How did it? Good, good. Then we have all the materials we need.
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients waiting for me back at the office.
Oh, you. All right then. Go see to your business. Granny should be able to handle the rest.
I'm off then. Bye! Oh yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly. Regulars get discounts too.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave, perhaps you'd like to help me clean my teapot, hmm?
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Her father was hardly so riotous or fond of talking nonsense back in the day when he stood beside Rex Lapis. Ah, indeed she is. Liyue has changed, and the Adepti must also learn to change. Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most intimately acquainted with the city among us all. Ah, Liyue is not the same place I once knew. All right then, let us speak of this no more. Back on topic. I believe that I still owe you a little gift.
Oh, Paimon's so excited! How is it made?
It is but a single teapot. It shan't take long at all. Just wait here for a moment.
Conçoit ce cadeau.
There we go. This Serenity pot is all yours now. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, oh goodness, who knows what might happen. Take these blueprints with you
Donc
as
ça, les effets de la
well.
drogue.
Wait a minute, Granny.
On voit des théières qui volent.
How exactly are we supposed to use this teapot?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a certain little helper to await you within this teapot. She will explain everything you need to know about it.
Donc, du coup, ça va être dans cette théière que nous allons pouvoir nous installer, c'est ça. Cette théière mystique, j'ai pas eu le temps de lire. Alors, inventaire, gadget. Placer la série. Ok. Ah oui, d'accord. Oh, il faut choisir. Mais non. Non. Ah non. Alors qu'est-ce qu'on veut? Est-ce qu'on veut une île paradisiaque? Est-ce qu'on veut des petites montagnes ou est-ce qu'on veut des îles flottantes? J'ai quand même envie d'avoir des îles flottantes. Qu'est-ce qu'on prend? Ah, des îles. Je pense. Allez. Alors, on va pouvoir découvrir tout ça. J'ai trop hâte. Je veux voir ce que ça donne.
This teapot seems even bigger inside than that of Ping's.
Effectivement, elle est énorme cette théière.
Really big house in the middle too.
On se demande toujours comment les génies y vivent à l'intérieur des théières. En fait, c'est comme ça en fait qui. C'est littéralement un monde qui est à l'intérieur. Paymon. Et oh oui.
Hey, there's a perfectly good house right over there. Why should Paimon have to live in a hole in the ground?
J'adore pouvoir tacler les Paymon, c'est un truc de ouf. Les punchlines complètes.
Wait a second. What is that?
La théière de vos rêves. Ah ouais. Tient-il paradisiaque là dans le nuage? Alors. C'est vrai, c'est un canard. Possible de voir un bec. Ah non, c'est un oiseau. Oh, ce mode auto qui se met jamais. Ah, un pinceau. Ah bah voilà. Esprit, génie, c'est la même chose.
Hang on a moment. What am I supposed to be called again? Oh, call me. I suppose you may call me Tubby. So you're the little helper Madam Ping mentioned? Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean Ping. Yes, she did summon me here. She told me much about you. You may leave all matters regarding the upkeep of this realm to me. Your journey may be far from over. But though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally do not have the time of day to attend to the banal matter of their maintenance. Thus, we teapot spirits were created to help guard their realms and manage their affairs. You may consider me a butler, if you will. Now, allow me to explain this realm to you. Have you any blueprints on you? Specifically, blueprints with beautiful rooms, chairs, and the like. As long as you have a blueprint, you can refashion this realm however you please. Blueprints? Oh, that's right! Granny handed us some when she gave us the teapot, didn't she? Let's take them out and have a look. Yes, these are the blueprints I'm talking about. Go on, open them up. Just commit the image of the objects to memory and prepare the necessary materials.
Oh, va farmer les matériaux. Ah, le farm, le farm, le farm.
Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city inside, couldn't we? I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus explained this to me at some point in the past. He said that even though subspace creation is a product of adeptal power, even that has its limits. This world is not a true one, after all. It provides merely a moment of brief respite from the mortal realm, not a means of escaping it entirely. A golden-eyed adeptus? Paimon wonders who could that be? I hardly remember myself. What's more, I have never seen that adeptus again since. Well, let's not dwell on that. Have a look around. Best you get accustomed to this realm. If there's anything you would like to ask, just look for me.
Eh bien, très bien. Sérénité hier, message important. Une fois que vous aurez utilisé et invoqué votre sérénité hier, alors je vais avoir du mal à lire ce mot, sérénité hier. Bon, on va l'appeler théière, plus simplement. Interagissez avec elle pour entrer dans la théière. Ok, lorsque vous êtes dans la théière, blablabla, vous pouvez également utiliser, invoquer. Vous pouvez également ouvrir l'interface avec elle. Panthère. Ok, à l'intérieur de la sérénité théière, ouais. Esprit de la théière, faut apprendre à gérer votre théière. Très bien. Vous pouvez fabriquer toutes sortes d'objets depuis l'interface de fabrication. Vous pouvez collecter de matériaux nécessaires à la fabrication des objets partout dans le monde. Lorsque vous avez obtenu une décoration, utilisez la fonction de placement pour la positionner. Décorez votre série intérieure avec des décorations pour augmenter son niveau d'énergie mystique. Vous pouvez cumuler rapidement de pièces du royaume. Voilà. Pièces du royaume peuvent être échangées contre toutes sortes d'objets au bazar du royaume. Waouh, ok. De temps en temps, un esprit itinérant visitera votre demeure. Il y a des chances qu'il apporte des trésors rares avec lui. Oh. Si vous tenez des plans de set de décoration, pour les placer dans la décoration par l'eau, faire des ajustements sur le placement. Ok. 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 F7. Alors, F7. Ah oui, d'accord, ouais. Ouais, en gros, Faut pas faire des trucs insultants quoi. Faut pas créer, faut pas faire des choses. Voilà. Ok, donc là par exemple j'ai. Oh. Oh. On peut zoomer. Comment est-ce qu'on fait pour se déplacer? Oula. Ok. Comment je fais? Ah oui d'accord, comme ça. Oh. L'effet de l'herbe. Oh c'est si bien pensé. Très bien. Peut-être un peu trop sensible par contre. Wow, par contre ouais c'est carrément carrément violent au niveau de la rotation. Où est-ce qu'on va le placer? On va le placer là-bas. À côté hein. Hop. Là. Ou est-ce que je le mets un peu plus loin, genre comme ça, en mode cabane de jardin MDR. Ah j'aime bien là. Confirmé. Attends, la porte elle est bien où? Oh, elle est là, là. Ah non elle est... Ouais non c'est... Bon. La sensibilité par contre est hyper vénère. Oh, la vache. Ça c'est hyper énervé. Ajuster le champ de vision. Par contre on peut pas dézoomer plus que ça, très bien. Bâtiments principaux actuels, d'accord, donc on peut en avoir plusieurs. Et après du coup on a tout plein d'autres choses que nous n'avons pas. Mais si, il doit y avoir d'autres choses, non? Non. On a vraiment débloqué que ça. 840, charge. Enregistrement réussi. Très bien. Impossible de changer de zone, ok. Grille d'alignement. Oh. D'accord. Alignement des décorations. Rotation à angle droit. Rotation libre. Rotation précédente. Jour. Non. Ah, je peux pas mettre autre chose. Ok. Et là du coup on a un petit onglet en plus. Enregistrer dans l'interface de placement et enregistrer les décorations. Ouais, on peut récupérer de nouvelles choses. Poser 30 morceaux de bois. Obtenir 3 types de morceaux de bois, d'accord. Entrer dans la résidence. Ok, fabriquer une teinture, fabriquer un tissu. Apprenez 3 plantes d'ameublement. Oh là là. Confiance 2. Oh. Ok. Oh. Oh. C'est quand on a tout fini qu'on aura le droit à ça? Non. 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 Ma kryptonite. Ils vont me forcer à farm pour voir le chat. Wow. Oh. Eh bien, allons-y. Entrons dans la résidence. Oh. J'ai toujours rêvé d'avoir une maison si ronde. Alors. Du coup. Ça. L'heure de la fête. Plante cette décoration. D'accord. Et là, on a une table longue avec nappe. Très bien. Comment je fais déjà? C'est F7. Yep. Ok. Actuel, d'accord. Donc là, on sait les portes, les escaliers actuels, ok. Une table. Donc là, déjà, on peut voir une table. Alors. J'aimerais voir un truc, du coup. Rotation libre. Rotation précédente. Rotation angle droit. Je vais tomber. Bah c'est pas grave. Écoutez. Écoutez. On va faire rotation. Par contre c'est énervant, la rotation elle est un peu trop sensible. On va le mettre au mieux, ouais, bon. C'est pas le même truc que je voudrais faire pour l'instant, mais vu que je n'ai que ça. Confirmé. Et ça me fait une table. Une belle table. Hein. Ah ça je reconnais, hein, c'est une table. Oh les portes et tout. Ah ouais. C'est immense. Et y a rien. Par contre c'est vraiment immense. C'est trop bien. Te donne pas la petite maison puis il faut que tu upgrades pour avoir une plus grande quoi. Non c'est vraiment te filer la grande dès le début. Trop bien. Parce que du coup quand on ouvre la carte ouais. Ok. Ok. Trop classe. Et du coup j'ai hâte de voir s'ils vont... Bah, les maisons et tout qu'on pourrait avoir dans le futur. Les choses qu'on pourrait avoir. Possibilités de décoration qu'on pourrait avoir. Et du coup toi... Ok. Permis de transit du royaume. D'accord. Et là du coup on a débloqué ça. Ah ouais, et ça sert vraiment à forger. Évidemment. Pourquoi ça ne le serait pas? Suis-je bête? Poche nutritive. Stylé. Tu peux faire ton petit village quoi. Oh. Théière. Alors ça c'est pour sortir ça non? Toby, esprit itinérant.
The one before you is known as Jade Seeker. One
Que vendez-vous?
Encounters with fine treasures cannot be forced.
Ok. Chien de patrouille. Héron azur. Ah ouais. Roche dimensionnelle sommet verdoyant. Oh. Donc lui il vend ce genre de choses. Sauf que du coup il nous faut des pièces. Puis du coup j'ai récupéré un peu de poids. Donc on a fait monter un peu. On va regarder un peu. Normalement... Ouais c'est ça. Je cherche en fait tout ce qui était craft et tout. En fait c'est ici. Niveau de confiance. Ah, compagnon de séjour. Capacité de stockage actuelle 50. Vitesse de création actuelle 2 heures. Jeu spécial formé à partir d'énergie mystique. C'est comme ça qu'on obtient les cadeaux. D'accord. On a 2480. Récompense de niveau. 300 pièces du royaume. 50. Une zone extérieure. Ok. Donc c'est bon là du coup. Et là, niveau de confiance insuffisant. Il en faut 300. C'est ça? Humble demeure. Maison confortable. Pavillon spacieux. Palais royal. Vitesse d'accumulation de pièces du royaume. 8 heures. Ah ouais. Donc au début on va vite. Et plus on a un truc costaud, plus bouffe tes morts quoi. Le cadeau. Énergie mystique requise, ok. Donc, au début ouais, c'est vraiment easy, puis après c'est mange-toi ça quoi. Donc là pour l'instant on demeure flottante. Et là on a pu récupérer des pièces. Donc là on a 300 de stockage. Et tous les 8 heures du coup on a combien? On a 3, on a 50 100. Voilà c'est en 8 heures on a 300. Très bien, très bien. Et là, du coup, il nous faut 600 pièces du royaume stockées maximum. 100 cadeaux de décoration. Ah ouais. On a des transformations. Je suis allé me renseigner aussi un peu. Apparemment, c'est niveau 8 qu'on débloque. C'est ça, un niveau 8. Ouais, niveau 8, normalement, on débloque... un nouveau décor et niveau 10 ou il y en a encore ou niveau 4, ah j'ai un doute maintenant. Niveau 10 je sais qu'il y en a un. Trois configurations de royaume disponibles. 2 configurations de royaume disponibles, voilà c'est ça le truc. Ah mais on va pouvoir rajouter 2 compagnons max. Ah non, ça c'est ce qu'on débloque, d'accord. Là c'est ce qu'on peut stocker au maximum. Les cadeaux. 2 décorations, ok. 2 compagnons, donc à la fin. 8 compagnons. Classe. Vraiment classe. Ah, puisqu'on débloque quoi. Nickel. On va regarder un peu du coup ce qu'on a vu. Donc ça c'est le niveau de confiance. Ah ouais, là on a eu 8 pièces, d'accord. Je vois le délire. Ok. Donc ici on pourra changer la configuration. Là ici on peut fabriquer des décos. Oh les crafts qu'il nous faut quoi. Ok, et là il nous faut des teintures. Je sais qu'ils nous avaient réclamé pour des missions, donc on va en faire. Ça on va en créer pour 10. On va faire une teinture de chaque. Pour commencer. Je sais pas si c'est utile une teinture, il fait un peu plus. Je pense qu'une c'est déjà bien. Hop. Et après si on veut avoir des choses intéressantes, en fait tu vois, il en faut 2. Donc là il nous aurait fallu, hop. Ça. Ok. Et ça. Et là normalement déjà on peut faire un tapis. Truc de ouf. Oh! Oh le temps de craft, 14 heures pour faire un tapis. Ouf. Ça picote un peu hein. Des lampes. Ok, bon pour l'instant les crafts sont pas compliqués de ce que je vois. C'est surtout du bois, de la teinture. Ok. Et là. Fiole d'accélération. D'accord, on peut accélérer les choses. Ouais, bon après. Pour l'instant ça va. Alors attends, qu'est-ce que j'ai vu un truc qui clignotait? Ok. C'est ça, mais là non, je ne veux pas. Fais ça pendant 14 heures, ça me dérange pas. Et là on peut accéder au bazar du royaume. La fameuse. Ah mince, il faut être niveau de confiance de... Ah ouais. Dur. Alors là je sais qu'on peut avoir déjà des choses, mais... Oh, tout ce qu'on peut avoir. Mais tu déconnes. Ah ouais. Et franchement c'est classe parce que franchement tu sais ils rajoutent la fonctionnalité mais ils ont pas de main morte quoi. C'est vraiment on y va quoi. C'est pas petit à petit on vous les met et puis on vous entube entre deux quoi. Alors c'est vraiment jusqu'au bout quoi. Et ça fait vraiment plaisir quoi. Mais là j'ai 158 pièces d'or si je peux. D'argent plutôt. Je vais acheter un compagnon. Je crois que je peux. Que vendez-vous? Je peux avoir un chien de patrouille ou un héron. La vérité, le chien c'est surcoté. Alors que le héron c'est quand même sous-coté. Pourtant c'est quand même classe d'avoir un héron chez soi. File-moi ça. File-moi un héron frère. C'est quoi le chien? Attends, je pourrais peut-être l'acheter un peu plus tard. Ah oui non tu restes 7 heures. Ouais, est-ce que genre de quoi acheter le chien? Il manque que la moitié des pièces. Alors par contre le héron... Je veux quand même voir un truc. Est-ce que le héron... Parce que là voilà, là on est d'accord, le héron il se pose dehors. Mais qu'est-ce qui est encore plus classe que d'avoir un héron qui est dehors? C'est d'avoir un héron à l'intérieur. Si on peut en mettre à l'intérieur. Bah c'est juste incroyable quoi. Animaux. Oh, on peut même pas mettre à l'intérieur comme c'est la discrimination. Bah tant pis, on va le mettre là. Ah je upgrade de ouf du coup. Hop, perdu entre les arbres. Tu seras le héron de la paix. Et puis bah c'est tout quoi. J'ai réussi à passer un niveau de confiance en farmant. Nickel. Alors 600 pièces du royaume, 100 cadeaux du royaume stocké, 2 décorations max, ça c'est sympa, et 2 compagnons. Et on va débloquer du coup autre chose que je voulais avoir. Alors, est-ce que je peux fabriquer autre chose? Pour l'instant, non. C'est le chat. Aïe 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 aïe, allez hop. Oh là là, tout ce qu'on débloque. Réflexion du parti de... Ouh. 100 morceaux de bois, 71 déjà, bon ça va vite. 5 types de morceaux de bois, 20 plans d'ameublement, de 20 décorations. Oh, un set de déco. 500 pièces du royaume. Oh, tout ce qu'on a. Et là on a un chien. Oh c'est classe, c'est classe. Du coup là j'ai débloqué plein de choses. Vous pouvez à présent placer, j'ai pas le temps de dire, salle d'études. Ok, oh là là, tout ce qu'on a. Oh, les crafts qu'il va falloir faire. Dépression. Alors, animaux. Je veux pas le chat ici, moi. Ah, on a un set d'extérieur qui est incomplet. Ah, on peut voir. Ah ouais, il nous faut toutes ces petites choses là. Il n'y en a rien d'autre. Très bien. Très bien. Niveau de confiance, on a passé le niveau 3. Oi 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 oi. Allez, qu'est-ce qu'on a eu de beau? 900 pièces de royaume stocké max, 150 cadeaux du royaume stocké max et 3 compagnons. Donc on va en mettre un troisième et on va débloquer un plan d'une nouvelle maison. Très bien. Et pour le prochain... Oh, on a droit à une transformation. 1200, 200, 3 décorations en max, file d'attente. Transformation de l'esprit de la théière. 5 types de marchandises proposées par l'esprit itinérant. Et 4 compagnons de séjour. Ok. Bon, ça se fait. 1000. 1000, il nous faut 1000. Ah ouais. Mais on a de quoi déjà craft un peu plus rapidement. Il me manque tout ça. Bois d'épicéa. Bois d'épicéa. Bois de cèdre parfumé. Et il nous ferait les lampes aussi. Bois d'aéra. Très bien. Regardez un peu ce que j'ai débloqué. Tac. Hop. Combien j'ai pour faire un tirage? Pas du tout ce qu'il faut. Et là, hop. Encore 5. Et là, oh, on n'est pas si loin aussi de passer à la partie 3. Ok. Alors, on va en mettre un compagnon. Allez. Cli. En théorie, si les gens arrivent par là... Mince. Hop. En théorie, je dis bien en théorie. S'ils arrivent par là, ils verront Cli en premier. Est-ce que c'est bien? Oh, ça me paraît pas mal de mettre Cli ici. T'arrives là, hop, tu as Cli. Et après, ouais. Bon là, ce n'est que le début. Je suppose que dans les maisons, on ne peut pas y aller. Ça me paraîtrait trop gros, trop important. Ah, ici, du coup, j'ai posé ça. Ça, il faudra autre chose, hein, parce que là, c'est vachement stock. Il n'y a même pas de porte là-dessus. What the fuck? Comment fais-tu pour entrer là-dedans? Tu ne rentres pas. Et à l'intérieur de la maison, on va regarder voir un peu ce qu'on a. Hop là. C'est qu'à l'intérieur, il y a 2 sets que je veux faire. Hop. Petite décoration. Ouais, on a le paravent annulé. Alors, il y avait ça. Ça, voilà. Donc, il faut que je fasse les lampes, les meubles. et la chaise. Mais ça, tout ça, ça demande du poids spécifique. Et là... Ah, c'est 2 chaises comme ça, et une lampe aussi comme ça. Oh. Ça, il m'en faut 3 au total, quoi. 2 lampes aussi. Les 2 meubles. Et la petite table basse de l'autre couleur. Bon, c'est un peu long, hein, évidemment, mais ça fait plaisir de se faire ça petit à petit. Alors là, pour l'instant, c'est vraiment boosté à fond. Finalement, j'utilise que mes boosts parce que tout se craft en 14 heures. Je voulais pas parler de toi, j'en ai rien à péter, je suis désolé de ta vie, mais... un blaze. Voilà, c'est dit. Alors là, en fait, du coup, il me faudrait pas mal de bois de pain. Finalement. Et là, en fait, il nous faut du cèdre parfumé. On a les 2 à faire. On a ces 2 là. Là, j'ai ces maisons, du coup, que j'ai débloquées. Très bien. Ça, il m'en faut 3. Ça, il m'en faut 2. Moi, je peux faire de teinture, là. On peut changer de matériau. Hop, on va augmenter. On va en faire pas mal, là. Hop. Parce que j'en ai marre de devoir crafter tout le temps, alors qu'en vrai... j'ai largement ce qu'il faut. Et là, on peut échanger pourquoi? Ah ouais. C'est bon, ça risque d'être vite la dèche. Hop. Et là, on peut échanger par rien, donc autant tout faire. On restera 20. Très bien. Donc, bois de pain. Bois d'aïra. Bois de cèdre parfumé. 3, 2, 1, 1. Ça aussi, bois de pain. Ça aussi. Non, ça je l'ai fait. Je sais plus. C'est relou parce que du coup les crafts on peut pas les revoir ailleurs. Ah, la vie en couleur. Ah, parce que du coup ça m'a compté en craft. Non, pas du tout. Par contre ça m'a compté plusieurs teintures de fête. 50 teintures et voilà. Premier point d'énergie mystique. Atteint niveau 4 de confiance. 600 morceaux de bois. On est déjà quasiment 200. 2000 pièces du royaume. On a déjà fait un quart. 120 décorations. 200 teintures. 60 plans de décoration. 150, ok. Ici, débloquer 10 dialogues de compagnons. Faudrait que je les farme. Et obtenir 5 cadeaux de la part de vos compagnons. J'en ai toujours pas eu. Où est-ce qu'on a déjà les cadeaux de compagnons? Bah j'en ai eu des... Non. Là, je suis en maison confortable. Déjà. Et qu'est-ce que tu me proposes? Ça ton bazar du royaume là? Pas grand chose qui m'intéresse apparemment. Des arbres. Ouais, des plus ou moins spécifiques, ok, bon. C'est vraiment les trucs badass chiens. Bon, du coup, ça fait 4 jours que j'ai ma sérénité hier, si je me trompe pas. Je pense que du coup j'ai clôturé cette vidéo. J'ai pu en 4 jours monter niveau 4. Là je pars sur le niveau 5. Voilà, je suis à moitié au niveau 5. Là ça devient beaucoup plus long parce qu'il y a beaucoup plus de points à monter. Il y a beaucoup plus de craft à faire. Quoique là j'en ai moins quand même. Vous pouvez voir à peu près tous les crafts que j'ai débloqués en 4 jours. Hein. Alors il y a ceux de l'event et puis il y a ceux des objectifs de la sérénité hier qui sont ici. Donc là en fait je suis un peu bloqué parce que bon c'est que des choses qui se font dans le temps quoi. Atteindre le niveau 5, jeter un esprit itinérant dans un autre royaume. Il me reste encore 3000 pièces à avoir quasiment. Et puis là il me reste 14 encore à avoir. Donc écoutez, j'espère vous avoir à peu près présenté ça du mieux que je pouvais. du mieux que c'était, même si je n'ai pas tout expliqué, hein, j'ai surtout montré et essayé de comprendre aussi avec vous. Mais là, voilà, là on a fait le tour. Le reste s'évoluera dans les jours, les semaines, les mois qui viendront. Puis écoutez, si vous avez aimé cette vidéo, n'hésitez pas à mettre un like, un commentaire, et puis écoutez, moi je vous dis ciao ciao.